So we've all heard about the problems with translation agencies. We all know translation agencies can suck. You've probably heard about this. You've probably dealt with it yourself as a freelance translator. But that's not what I'm going to talk about in this video. In this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I hate about translators. Now, I'm going to talk about the main problems encountered with translators as a translation agency. So let's get to it. So problem number one, when translators disappear, when they ghost you, as the kids like to say today. This can happen at several points in time. Sometimes it'll be a translator who's either on my database or I've been in touch with before, or maybe who I find because they seem like a very good translator, and I email them, hey, I'm going to have this job and I think you might be interested in it. Do you want to know more, or would you like to collaborate, or would you like to do something? Or if it's a translator I've worked with before, I say, hey, I'm going to be receiving this job. Is it something you're interested in, you're able to do? And I never hear back from them. I don't get an email, I don't get any response, I don't get anything. And quite frankly, when this happens, what I do is they're out. They're out of the database and I don't contact them anymore. Why? Because I'm going to assume that they either are not translating anymore, that happens, or they just don't check their email regularly, and I kind of need that, or that they're just not reliable. If they're not interested, they couldn't just say an email saying, I'm busy, I'm not interested, I can't do it, or whatever. When I'm trying to run a business, I need communication. You're going to find my solution to a lot of this stuff is to kind of just get people off my database. I really only want to deal with good, reliable translators. And I think any good agency is like that. If you're not a good, reliable translator, that's when you get relegated to the 2 cents a word, first come, first served, treat you as a commodity type of agencies, and you really don't want that. Sometimes they might reply though and just say, sure, send me the file, send me the information, I'd like to know more, and then I don't hear from them, which I really don't understand. You've already established contact, but then don't contact anymore. And I'll send follow-up emails, so are you interested or not, or something? Nothing. Obviously for these people too, they're out. I'm not gonna be able to deal with people that I can't be in contact with. I can't rely on you if I can't rely on you. So that's why disappearing can happen either straight off the bat where I never hear back, or two, I do hear back and then I don't. Problem number two, when they're available, but then they change their mind. And again, this can happen in 2 different ways. One is they're available, but then later they quite literally change their mind just because they're like, I don't want to deal with this. Some other reason comes to mind or something like that. This is very bad for me. I can't have that, again, when I'm relying on a translator. The second time it happens, and this is how it happens more often, it's Monday, I say, okay, I'll have the file available Wednesday and we can work then. They say, okay, that sounds good. Come Wednesday, I'm like, oh, the file's available. And they say, oh no, in the meantime, I found another job. Sorry, I'm not available. That's not okay. Okay, I understand you're a freelancer. You have lots of jobs and you take them as they come and all that good stuff. But I need to be able to rely on you. This is still a job and this is still work. I can't deal with a translator that I can't rely on. Now, there are different variations of this scenario, right? Like maybe I say, I'll have the file to you on Wednesday, but then I don't give it to you until Friday or something. And in the meantime, you found a job. Of course that's okay. And so that's why if there's any delay, I really try to establish communication early and often with a client and just to make sure everything's still okay. Or maybe come Thursday you say, hey, in the meantime I've heard from this other job, do you have the file yet? Otherwise I'm going to take this other job, something like that. Obviously that's good, that's fine, that's how it works, and I have no problem with that. What I have a problem with is that when we establish you're available Wednesday until Friday or whatever it is, then later you're like, no, I'm not available. And you don't even let me know ahead of time. And again, these people, I write them off the database because I can't rely on them. So that's problem number 2. Problem number 3, now I'm not going to deal with issues like bad translation quality. That is an issue, but that's something that a good agency should be able to figure out ahead of time. I'm also not going to deal with payment issues because usually that's not the translator's fault. Like they'll live in a country where they don't have PayPal or where it's complicated to make payment. I have had some translators who've made it complicated even though they don't have to, but those aren't the main issues. But the third main issue that I encounter, and I encounter this quite often, is when we establish a deadline, like say the deadline for the translation is Wednesday, and they know already by Monday or Tuesday that it's going to be late, but they don't tell me anything. And the deadline on Wednesday comes and goes, and I haven't heard from them, I'm emailing them, they don't get back in touch with me, I don't know what's going on. That's not okay. And so I say this specifically now to every translator I deal with. If the deadline is on Wednesday, I'm like, if you ever think that you might miss a deadline or if some other complication comes up or if you think it's going to be late or anything like that, let me know as soon as you can, because I'll be able to figure something out. The earlier I know, the better it is, because then I can figure something out. If you let me know Monday, a few days ahead of time, I can talk to the end client and try to figure something out, see if there's any leeway. We can work something out. But if you let the deadline come and go, I can't do anything there. I have the end client who's mad. I'm stuck in between trying to get something from the translator, and they're just getting annoyed emails from me, but they're not ready yet just because they haven't told me that it wouldn't be ready in time. So that's why I always encourage to communicate that ahead of time. And I know it's embarrassing to communicate, like maybe you miscalculated or something happened, but it's so much better to just communicate that right away. As an agency, as a project manager, as a go-between, I can figure something out. That's kind of what I'm here for, But you have to let me know, and you have to let me know as soon as you can. And look, if you feel embarrassed about communicating this to the client, to the agency, say something like, look, I can have it done by the deadline on Wednesday, but this is a lot more complicated than it looked like at first, or the quality isn't very good, something like that. And I really want to have a good quality translation. So I'd feel a lot more comfortable being able to deliver it on Thursday or Friday or whatever it is. Say, is there any leeway so that I can make sure this is good quality? And as soon as you mention quality, you bring that up, usually they'll be a bit more accommodating, especially if it's an agency that wants a good quality translation. And so that's my recommendation. And that's pretty much it. Those are the main 3 things, I think, that as an agency I have with translators. Like I said, there are tons of issues with agencies themselves, and I actually do want to do another video talking about those. I know I've mentioned it in the past, but I think it deserves its own video. But for now, I just wanted to bring these up because I think it's good to know from the agency's point of view what people are expecting and what they don't like, what they don't appreciate, just so you can kind of get a better idea as to how to work with them if you're a serious translator. But yeah, that's it for now. Let me know if you've had any other issues where you think the issue could be with a translator or something along those lines, because I'd be curious to hear about it, see if it's something that I've encountered in the past as well. But otherwise, that's pretty much it. I'll talk to you next time. Okay, thanks, bye. Savedum.